All right. So in the previous class, we have seen how we can use CSS selector to locate the elements on the web page. So today we'll see XPath. So how we can locate elements using XPath, and at the end we will also compare CSS with XPath. So most of the times we prefer to use CSS, especially Playwright. But if you want to use XPath also, we can still use XPath in Playwright. So as I said, CSS and XPath is universally the same. If you go with any or kind of automation tools, it will work exactly the similar way. So there is no change at all. While writing the XPath or while using any different functions or operators, everything is exactly same. Okay. And if you're already aware of XPath, how to use XPath in Selenium, so exactly the same way we can use XPath in Playwright also. Okay. So for the beginners, let us see what is an XPath is basically. So XPath is basically called as a XML path. It is a kind of a language which is derived from the XML. And in other words, we can say XPath is an address of the element. So if you look at a web page, there are so many elements are there, and every element there should be some path, and which is also called as XPath. Okay, so there is an address of the element. XPath is representing an address of the element or the path of the particular element. So we can use this XPath to navigate through the DOM till we get the element on the web page. Again, in XPath also we have a two different XPaths. So one is we have an absolute XPath, and which is this is also called as a full XPath. And the second type of XPath is relative XPath. Relative XPath, which is also called as a partial XPath. So there are two different type of XPaths. Just like a CSS, here also we have a absolute XPath and relative XPath. So absolute XPath means what? We need to provide the complete full path of the element from the root node of HTML. And relative XPath, we will try to use some attributes of the element like tags, IDs, names, or any other attributes are available for those elements. We can try to use those attributes to locate the web elements, which is relative XPath. So we no need to specify the full path of the element. So these are the two different type of XPaths, which we have, absolute and relative. And again, XPath will work based on the DOM structure itself. So in the previous class, we have seen, right? So what is a DOM? Document Object Model. So which is loaded at the time of browsing any web page. So the document object models. Until unless the object DOM is loaded on the page, XPath cannot locate the web element. Okay, so DOM is very important for especially CSS and XPath. So both the locators works based on the DOM itself. And if you want to locate or if you want to get any attributes or tags, everything we can get it from the DOM itself. Okay. Now, so let us see how we can use this XPath to locate different web elements. And we'll see the different ways of writing the XPath. We can generate the XPath automatically. There are tools are available. Even Selector Hub also help us to create a generate XPath, like absolute XPath, relative XPath, and we can also create our own XPath. And for that, we need to know the syntaxes. So if we know the syntax, we can create our own relative XPaths. And sometimes it is needed. Sometimes even Selector Hub also cannot provide certain XPath, especially when elements, attributes are dynamically changing in the web page. So in that case, we need to create our own relative XPath locators, which should be able to handle dynamically changed elements on the web page. So we will also see that in the today's class. So first, let us start with the basics. So how we can use XPath and how to write an XPath, how we can locate the web elements. So for that, I'm directly go to PyCharm. Later, I will provide all the notes step by step. Uh, we'll try to understand with an example. Go to PyCharm and then create a new directory for today's class. Say day 21 and create a new Python module. I call it as a test underscore XPath locators. Test underscore XPath locators. So whenever you create a new module or new Python file, especially in PyTest, we need to start with the test underscore. Okay. And now let us write a simple function, test function. So def test underscore, I call it as a XPath underscore locators. And whenever you create a function, that function should take page fixture from the page class, and that we need to import first. So we need to first import PyTest, and also we need to import from playwright.sync API. So we need to import page class and also expect, which is an assertion actually. Page, comma, expect. So these are the mandatory for every test. Okay. Now let us start writing the test. So the first thing is what we need to launch our application, and then we will try to locate a different type of web elements using XPath. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch one web page. Yesterday we have used one application. Time to use same application. So this is the demo web shop transits.com, and this is our application. Now let us try to interact with these elements by using XPaths. Right. So now first thing, page.goto, this will navigate to this particular web page. Now I'm going to locate an element. So the first thing what I'm going to show you is how to use absolute XPath. How to write an absolute XPath. Absolute XPath, which is also called as a full XPath. So most of the times we never prefer absolute XPaths in our automation. Even though if you are using XPath, we never ever prefer the absolute XPath. So what is the reason? I'll tell you. So here, this is the first thing, absolute XPath. So absolute XPath, how we can create or how to generate absolute XPath is very simple. Let's go to the web page. So for example, I want to create an XPath for this particular logo element. Now, if I inspect this element and see the DOM structure, where is this element here? This is IMG. This is actual element. So to write our XPath, we need to start from the root node. So to get this IMG element, we need to start from the root node from this DOM, because this is hierarchy, right? So first we need to go to HTML. There we need to go to body, and then we need to go to this particular div tag, and again another div tag, and inside this another div tag, anchor tag, and then finally we reach IMG. So this is a complete XPath. Okay. So if you want to capture this XPath, because if your page is having so many elements, getting each and every tag from this path is little bit difficult. So sometimes you may miss some tag, okay? Because even if you miss a small one tag, the XPath won't work. So you need to exactly specify the hierarchy. The simple thing is you can just right click on this code, whichever the line which is highlighting this element, right click on this, and you can see one copy option here. This is a default option for every browser which is available. And here you can see this. There is an option called copy XPath, copy full XPath. So I'm just saying copy full XPath. And now look at here. So this is a copy full XPath. So from the HTML, it went to body. And again, inside the body, there are multiple div tags are there. So if you want to go to exact div tag, we need to provide the index. In XPath, index will work. In CSS, index won't work, but in XPath, index will work. So inside the body, there are multiple div tags. So we need to navigate to the fourth div tag. Again, inside the fourth div tag, there are multiple div tags, and we need to go to the first div tag. And again, inside the div, there are multiple div tags. Again, we need to go to first div tag, and again, one more div tag, which is first div tag. And inside this, anchor tag, and then finally IMG tag. So where we can find that element? In the last node. Here we can find the actual element. But to get this element, we navigate throughout the DOM. We need to touch each and every tag in the hierarchy. Finally, we reach it here. This is an absolute XPath. This is an absolute XPath. Okay, this is the one way to capture it. Otherwise, this is a direct browser option. You can just right click on this code, go to copy, copy full XPath and copy XPath. If I use only copy XPath, which will give you relative XPath. When I use this one, copy full XPath, this will return the complete XPath. These are the few options available. So other option is simply you inspect this element and go to selector hub, which we have installed yesterday. Now it will automatically show you this is the relative XPath. And if you want to look at absolute XPath, you can look at this. This is our absolute XPath. And now if you want to check this is working fine or not, you can just copy this and paste inside the search box here. Press enter. Now we can see one element is matching. So this is called absolute XPath. So we can directly get it from the browser, and we can also use selector hub to capture the absolute XPath. So if you have a small page and very few elements, you can also manually write the entire XPath. But most of the times it is difficult to write manually because we need to go to each and every tag. And if you miss any small tag, then you cannot locate this element. So better to go with these approaches. So now what I'm going to do is here, one is a default index, guys. Okay, so here if I look at here, I'm just copying this XPath, which is generated by selector hub. See this. Do you see any difference between these two? This is we copied from the browser, first one, and second one is generated by the selector hub. So if you look at the difference, the first tag is HTML and here HTML of 1. Why it is added 1? By default, we have only one HTML tag. Okay, one HTML tag. By default, we have only one HTML tag. So if you specify just the HTML, that is enough. By default, it will take the first one. And even you can pass the index also. Index is always start from 1. So 1 is a default index. 1 is a default index. So selector hub is additionally added this index. Similarly, you can look at this page. There is only one body tag in this HTML. But if I look at this selector hub, it is added 1 because that's a default number. And again, div4 and div4 exactly same because we need to go to fourth div tag, and here also it went to fourth div tag. And again, first div tag, first div tag. Here also first one and first one and first one and first one. And you can see anchor tag. So here there is only one anchor tag here. If I look at this element once again, inside the div, there is only one anchor tag. So if you have only one tag, we no need to specify the index actually. So here we have added index by selector hub. But even though if you're not adding index, no problem. By default, one will be taken. And again, inside this, there is only one image tag here. So to have a one image tag, we can directly specify just img tag. But selector hub is adding default indexes. But both are exactly same. Let me copy the first one and check it here whether it is able to locate the element or not. So one element is matching, perfectly working. Now if I give the another XPath, which is given by the selector hub, and this will also works exactly same way. So by default, one is an index. If you have a one single element, you no need to specify the index. So that's the reason for HTML, for this body, for this anchor tag, for img tag, we have not specified any indexes. Even though if you have an index, if you want to specify, just say one. One is a default index in XPath. Okay. So these are two or comes under absolute XPath. So let us try to use one of the XPath and let us try to locate the web element. So what is the method we have to use to locate the element in Playwright? We have one method yesterday we have used page.locator. And inside this, we can directly put the XPath. And this particular locator method actually return the element. So that we need to store in a variable, or we can directly put this in the expected in assertion. So I'm just storing into the variable logo. Now I'm expecting this logo. Yeah. Now what is the method for visible test? To be visible, to be visible. So this is an assertion. And what type of XPath we have used here is absolute XPath, which is full XPath or complete XPath. Okay. So let us try to run this. And also I will try to add relative XPath and then I will run both once. Now let us see the relative XPath, how to write a relative XPath. So again, in the relative XPath is customized. So we can create a relative XPath by using different things. Different options are there in relative XPath. But the most of the times, the syntax we need to know. So to write a relative XPath, so the syntax is what? First, we need to start with a //. So absolute XPath is always start with the single slash. Whereas relative XPath is always start with the // and then specify the tag name of the element. In the bracket, specify the attribute using @ symbol, @ and whichever attribute available for that element, specify the attribute equal to, in the single or double quotes, we can just specify the value of that particular attribute. This is a syntax of writing relative XPath. This is a syntax of writing relative XPath. First, we need to start with the //, tag name of the element, @ attribute name, and the value of the attribute. Now, by using this syntax, we can create our own relative XPaths. And also we can customize this. We can add number of operators, number of XPath functions. I will show you all the things. First, we will try to understand the basic thing. So this is a relative XPath. So for the same logo element, I'm trying to use a relative XPath. So first we will see how to create our own XPath, and later we can see how we can select, how we can generate it using Selector Hub, because Selector Hub is a built-in plugin which is available, which will automatically generate. We no need to bother about this, but we need to understand how to generate the XPath by using syntax, interview perspective, which is important. Now let's go back to Selector Hub. Now I want to write my own XPath, which will able to locate this element. Now, according to the syntax, what is the first thing here is syntax? Let me write it here. Slash slash tag name in the bracket @ attribute equal to single quotation, we say value, singular double quotation. This is a syntax actually. Now, according to the syntax, now you tell me what is the tag name of this image? Tag name slash slash img bracket, and we can use any of these attributes. So we have something called alt attribute here. So title is just a attribute is there, but there is no value associated with this title actually. But there is a value associated with this alt. So we can use this. Alt is an attribute and the value is also there. So here I can say @alt. So you can see here, this is the beauty of Selector Hub. As soon as you start typing something, Selector Hub is automatically giving the auto suggestions. So alt equal to, you can specify the value of this. Now when I enter, one element is matching. Okay, so this is how we can simply write our own XPath using our syntax. And if you don't want to create, you can just copy from here. The Selector Hub is automatically given this. Now I'm trying to use this XPath to get the same element, but this time this is a relative XPath. Same page dot locator, instead of absolute XPath, I'm simply writing a relative XPath. And again, if you want to store in a variable, you can store in a variable. Then you can simply say expect. Suppose I don't want to create any variable. So how we can do this? I want to put this entire thing in expect. Directly you can write expect. Inside the expect, I'm passing this entire element after finding it. Now we can put the assertion. So dot to be visible. So if you don't want to use this external variable, you can directly put this entire statement inside the expect and then add assertion. So both are exactly the same, but here we use something called absolute XPath, which is full XPath. And here we have used relative XPath. So first let me run this and then I'll explain the differences between both absolute and relative XPath. So to run this test, what I'm going to do is, you can also run through command prompt. So today we'll try through command prompt, okay? Because we already learned through UI, right? So let me run through command prompt. So how we can run it? Using PyTest command. PyTest day 21 slash, the name of the test is what? Test. So if we just type tab key, which will automatically give this, okay? Dot star is representing the current project directory, okay? This is also another way to specify the path. So dot slash is representing the current project directory inside this 21, and this is a test. And what are the options we need to provide here? If we want to run headed mode, simply say headed. And we are not printing anything in the console. If you want to print something and see the detailed information, I say -s -v, right? So let me run this now. And after doing these two, I will try to wait some time here so that the page will be closed very faster. So page dot wait for timeout, I'll say 5000 milliseconds. I'm just waiting here so that we can see the page properly. So now I'm running it. Okay, so this is not run properly, so we missed it something. PyTest markers, PyTest pictures. I think the command is not correct. PyTest hyphen headed, right? So we missed hyphen headed -s -v. Okay, so now it is collected one item and launching my page. Yeah, so now I've ended with some error. So let us see what is an error. So what exactly it is saying is expecting to be visible with the timeout. And with this particular XPath is not able to find properly. And okay. Just a moment. So this is correct. Okay, so we need to put slash properly. This is the first XPath actually, not the second one. It's talking about the second or first one. So let us start with the double slash body div of 4 1. Okay, everything is fine. I don't see anything. Okay, so let's try to run one more time and then we'll see. So actually, absolute XPath, we can start with a single line. We will see that. Every time index can be changed. So that's the reason we never prefer the absolute XPath. Okay, so because in this particular hierarchy, even if your small thing is get changed, because that is a common thing. Most of the web pages, the changes keep on happening. So in that case, definitely this will be disturbed. So we never use this. If you have a static pages and if you feel like content is exactly same, it never change, then you can use it for sometimes, but otherwise not recommended. Okay, so let's try one more time. Okay, so now it is get passed. So you can look at this, guys. Actually, it should start with single slash, but Playwright is allowing with a double slash. So even it is a relative XPath or absolute XPath, start with the double slash, but rest of the slashes you can put single slashes. Okay. So this is a XPath syntax. This depends on operating system, guys. But in most of the times in the parts, when you're writing the parts, on Windows, we will use backward slashes. On Mac OS, we will use forward slashes. So normal times, if I look at this path, for example, so we are using backward slashes because I'm currently using Windows. But if you go with the Mac, you can see forward slashes. Okay, depends on operating system, it will keep changing. But in XPath perspective, we have to use forward slashes only. Okay, for XPath perspective, when you write absolute XPath or relative XPath, we should always use forward slashes. Okay, so I will show you many examples just to have some patience. Okay, now this is the second one, relative XPath. So absolute XPath and relative XPath. So now we'll see what is the difference between both the XPath. What is the difference we have noticed so far? What are the differences we have noticed so far? The first absolute XPath will start from the root node, whereas relative XPath will directly jump to the element because we provided the tag name. So it will check the tag name first. So what are the elements are having this tag? And again, if you have a multiple elements which are having same tag, then it will check the attribute. So based on the attribute, it will filter the element. Sometimes this XPath may also match more than one element, certain requirements. Okay. So we need to write a proper XPath. So what is your exact requirement? You need to know first whether you want to locate a specific single element or you want to locate group of web elements. So I will also show you that example, how to locate multiple elements, how to work with the multiple web elements. Okay, so now these are the two different XPath. The first difference is what? Absolute XPath start with the root node of HTML, whereas the relative XPath will directly jump to the element based on the tag and the attribute. And the second difference is absolute XPath will navigate each and every tag. So even if your one tag is got disturbed on the web page, this XPath will be broken. So this won't work. But in the relative XPath, there is no chance of breaking the elements because we are not navigating throughout the DOM actually. We are not, even though the element, the location or place is got changed on the web page, still our relative XPath will able to locate that element. But in absolute XPath, if the element and location is got changed in the web page, for example, today the logo is here. Tomorrow, if this logo is put inside the right side, then absolute XPath will definitely fail, but relative XPath still will pass. Because even though this element location is got changed, the attribute won't change. The tag name won't change. So in that particular case, absolute XPath will definitely fail, whereas relative XPath will always pass. Okay, so these are the differences. And which one is the faster? Relative XPath is always faster because we no need to navigate to each and every tag. So if you want to use XPath in our automation, most of the times we prefer to use relative XPath, not the absolute XPath. This is not recommended. Not recommended. Okay. Next one. So this is all about absolute and relative XPath. So in the relative XPath, there are again various options we can specify. I'll show you one by one. So first, let us start with the XPath functions. There are different functions are there. And these functions, especially we will use to handle dynamic elements. In the next example, I will show you how elements are dynamically changing and how we can handle them by using XPath writing, proper XPath, customized XPath we need to write. Okay, so before that, let me explain what are the different options which we can use in relative XPath. Okay, now let me comment this for now, or else you can have it, not a problem. Next, so the third thing is XPath with the contains. This is very popular function which is available in XPath. So we will use this most of the times to handle dynamic elements. Most of the time the attributes are keeps changing. In those cases, we will prefer this. And there are two more methods. Start with contains is one method, and there is another method called start with method, and text is another method is there. So we use these methods very commonly along with relative XPath. Okay. Now let us see how we can write this function in relative XPath. So for example, let's say here, go to the web page again. So in this particular web page, there are multiple products in this bottom of the page. So you can see there are multiple products are here. Now, how many products are there? Totally 6 products are there. So among these 6 products, I want to capture the products which are having computer. Let's say here there is a computer keyword. Here also one computer keyword. Here also one computer. So how many products are there here? Totally 4 products are there which are having computer as a keyword. Now I want to write an XPath. I want to write an XPath which is matching with the elements which are having computer. That's my requirement. So how we can do that? So let's try our own XPath now. So let me inspect one of the elements. So let's say where exactly these elements are provided. So if I inspect one of the element, this is anchor tag, which is a part of h2 tag actually. This is a part of the div tag. This is one item. This product item is representing one item. Now we can look at this. So these are item boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there. So these 6 are exactly representing what? These 6 are exactly representing 6 items in the product, 6 items. But I want to write an XPath which is matching with only those 4 elements. Only the 4 elements. Okay, so first of all, let me write an XPath which is matching only with the 6 element, all 6 elements. Okay, so let's go to selector hub. Now I'm writing one XPath. So if I look at this, all these items are in div tag only. But if you expand every div tag, right? So this is not this one. Start from here. So this is the first item. This second item. This is the first item, right? So if I look at this inside the div tag, this is a picture actually. These are the details. If I go back to the details, here this is h2 tag. This is actually, this h2 tag is actually contains a title. And if you expand the h2 to also, there is another tag called anchor tag. So now we need to write XPath to capture this h2 and anchor tag. These are the two important elements. And again, this is the same h2 anchor tag is followed in every item. So if I go back to the second item also, go to the div, go to the details. Now we can see h2 anchor tag, same. Again, if you go back to the any other item, so item box and expand this, go to the details. Now we can see h2 anchor tag. So in every item, h2 anchor tag we need to capture. So simply if I write //h2 is my tag name. See, 7 elements are matching, but there is one more heading. This heading is also matching with this actually, along with the products. So to filter them, you can also add something called anchor tag. So I'm simply adding anchor tag. Absolute XPath only. 6 elements are matching. So if I write an XPath like this, is it absolute XPath or relative XPath? Is it absolute XPath or relative XPath? Can you confirm this? What type of XPath it is? Absolute and relative. Can I put single slash here? Still matching 6 element. So actually this is it seems very similar to the relative XPath, right? Sorry, but it is absolute XPath, similar to the absolute XPath, but actually it is a relative XPath. Why? Because when I say //h2, it will directly jump to h2 tag. Have you specified any hierarchy here from HTML root node? No, we are not passing any path, right? So we are directly jump to the h2. When I say //h2, it will directly jump to the h2 tag. But inside the h2, we are going to anchor tag. So again, if you put double slash, relative XPath, single slash absolute XPath, H2 slash single slash is absolute XPath. So here there is no much difference. So if I say H2 slash slash A, exactly 6 elements are matching. 6 elements are matching. Now my requirement is I want to filter them. I want to capture only the titles of the products which are having computer. Okay, only 4 are there. Now we want to capture them. So how we can do that? We need to find one common thing in all the titles. So what is a common thing? Computer. That keyword is a common in every title, right? So here we need to provide attribute. So normally we will provide an attribute, right? Attribute means what? Single element. But here we need to use something called contains. Contains. This is the XPath function. Contains. This is the XPath function. Whenever I say function, that should having open brackets. So the function take parameters. So here the contains function take 2 parameters. The first parameter is an attribute. So here where we can see this computer keyword actually inside the href attribute, right? So if I go back in everywhere, you can see here laptop, which is href attribute. Here also the laptop, wherever you see the laptop, that should be part of the href attribute. So here I'm using attribute name is href. Whenever you say attribute, that should be start with the at the rate href, comma, href, comma. That's the first parameter. Second parameter is what? What href should contain, because we are using contains function here. So we need to specify the partial text. What is that? Computer. So when I write this XPath, exactly matching 4 elements. Now when I use this XPath, how many elements it is returning now? How many elements it is returning this XPath? Returning more than one element. Means it returning multiple group of elements. Now let us use this XPath to capture all the 4 elements, 4 products. So in the yesterday's assignment also, I have given the same thing, but there you have to use CSS. Here we are using XPath. Right. So now I'm writing a locator, just observe, page.locator, and I'm directly keeping this XPath. Now this particular XPath is a returning group of elements, or 4 elements it is returning, or 4 products are returning, we can simply say. So I'm storing them in a variable called products. Now if you want to count how many products are there, okay, this is matching with the number of products, but I want to count them exactly. As per my expectation, the product should be 4 or 5 or 6. We have some expectation, right? That we need to validate. So we can get the products count. How to get the product counts? Once you get these elements into a variable, we have a method called count. So this will actually returns the number of elements which we captured into the variable. So if I just try to print, you can just print here. Okay, so we can just print here number of products and say products count like this. Okay, simply we have just printed, but we need to do validation here. So to do the validation, what we can do, we can use expect of what? Whatever products we have captured here, the products dot to have count. To have count. How many products we are expecting actually? How many products we already captured here, right? Products dot count. That you can directly pass. Or else we can, if you already know the requirement, let's say if you are expecting 4 products exactly, you can pass 4 here. That is also fine. Or if you don't know how many products are there, then you can pass this products dot count inside this to have count method. Okay, so this is how we can do it. Or else we can store this product count in some other variable. In another way, how we can do it, product dot count, you can put another variable, products, and another variable is what? Products underscore count. 2 variables. Now we can use this variable here. Also here in the assertion. So many ways we can do that. So this is how we can do validation of multiple products. So here I have written XPath, which is matching with group of elements, getting all the elements, find how many are there, and print them, and also validate them to have count. So when it will work, if the number of products are multiple, then you can use to have count. So this will actually compare number of products. Okay, so let's run and see how exactly this will work. So let's go to command prompt and then write it once again. Now it is launching my page. So it is still running. Perfect. Now it is get passed. Now you can see products count is exactly 4. Right. So this is how we can still use contents. I will show you more number of example how to handle this by using how to use this for handling dynamic XPath and so on. Okay. So here we don't need any collections or anything. So by default, this locator will return something called a locator type. So this is a different type of object. Okay, this is a different type of object. It is returning locator actually. So it is returning locator means we can find the number of count. Okay, so collection will be written in the different case, not here. I'll also cover that part in the next example. Hold on. Okay, so here, no. So if you want to use a length, because the product C is not a collection here, guys. Okay, so you don't have a length because when you have to use length function is there, right? In Python, we have seen for list collection, set collection, tuple, dictionary. For all of them, we have a length because there are multiple items are there in the collection. But here, this locator method won't return any collection. It won't return any collection. It is returning something called locator type of an object. So that's the reason Playwright itself is provided this count function inside the locator class. So that we are going to use it here. In case any something is returning any collection or list or set or something else, then we can use length function. Okay. So that is how we need to use XPath contains. Right. So we can also work with the looping statements here. I will come to that. Hold on. Just listen first. Right. So now the next one. So XPath contains we have seen. And also I'm going to show you a few things here. We already captured all the products in this, right? But I want to get the first product. So we already captured 4 products. Among those 4 products, I want to capture the title of the first product. First product information, I want to grab it. The first product information. So when I say anchor tag is here, right? So if I look at this, any of the element in the anchor tag, this whole element is written actually. Okay, and I want to get the first element among the 4. I want to get the first element, and the first element text I want to capture. The simple computer is there, right? I want to capture this. So how to grab the first element? So the products are having many elements, the 4 elements. So this is actually returns 4. Among the 4 elements, I want to capture the first one. How to capture the first one? So take the products variable. You can simply say take the products variable dot. We have an option called first. And this will actually return the first element. And from that element, we need to extract the text value. From that element, we need to extract actual text value is what this is actual text value. So to get the text value or text content from that element, we have to use one method called text content. Very important. Most of the times we use this. This is exactly equal to get text method in Selenium. In Selenium, we have a get text method, right? We use get text for getting the text from the element. Similarly, the text content method in the Playwright will be used to get the text from that particular element. So from the multiple products, we are getting the first product. And for that first product, we are getting the text content. Now, let us try to print this and see it is printing right or not. So I'm just printing something here. First computer product. First computer product. So products dot first dot text content. So text content is nothing but what? Text content will get the text of that particular web element. Right. So similarly, I want to get the last element. Text content of the last element among the 4. So for that also, we have one method called last. I don't think so. We will see. Products dot. Yeah, we have a last dot text content. Now I don't want to get first and last, but I want to get some middle one. Like I want to get second or third one based upon the number I want to get. So then what we can do, we can specify nth print And here I can say nth computer product. So product dot instead of last, use nth of, you need to specify the number, which one you want to get. So normally it will start from one only. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 products are there. Now I want to get the third product. So I say 3 dot text content. N of 3 dot text content. So this is how we can use. So products dot nth of 3 dot text content. So first, last, nth of 3. So products contains a multiple products. Among those products, I'm getting the first one and getting the text content. The last one, again getting the text content. So nth one and getting the text content, right? So let's go and execute once again. So it is launched my page. Done. So now you can look at this. This is the first element. And I think the last one and whatever the number we provided is same, simple computer. So let's check it once. Okay, so nth method actually getting the index from 0. Okay, so if I look at this, which one is the first one here is, this is the first one, second, third, and fourth. So what is the first one? Build your own cheap computer. So this is the first one. First one is correctly written. And the last one is what? Simple computer is the last one is also written correctly. And nth means third actually. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is counting from 0. Even though the count is, when you count, it is counted from 1. So this is the one difference you need to notice here. So count method, when you use this count method, counts from 1. Okay, counts from 1, remember. When I use nth method will take the index from 0. So nth method will take index from 0. Takes index from 0. So 0 means what? First element. Okay. So now if I say second element, then it will give you correctly. Okay. Now you can see this is the first element, this is the last element, and this is the second element. Second means third element actually, because index is starting from 0. So we can also use this function. These are all playwright functions. Playwright functions. So all these functions, last, first, nth, count, these are all related to locator related class. So this locator method will actually return locator type of object. So we can see locator type of class it is returning. So this object is basically what? Locator type of object. Okay. So these methods are specific to what? Locator. Specific to playwright. Now, so instead of getting last, first, and nth, what I'm going to do is I want to use a looping statement to print all the titles of the products. So totally 4 products we capture, right? So for total 4 products, I want to capture the titles, and then each title I want to print using looping statement. Using looping statement. Then how we can do that? So we already captured all the products here. And individual product title, we are able to capture by using text content. Right? So from the products, we extracted first one, last one, or nth one, and we are extracted the text content. So text content method will able to extract the text content of specific element. Specific element, remember. So when I say products dot first, it is written the first product. That's the actual single product. From that, we are able to get the content. Similarly, products dot last returns the one product, and for that product, we are extracting the text content. Similarly, this is also same. So the text content will able to return the text of the single element always. It cannot return text of all the products. Okay. So if you want to get the text of all the products at a time, we have another method called all text contents. So that is a method we have to use specially. So now I'm using take the products here. We have already captured it. Dot products dot. We have a method called all text contents. So text content will return the text content of single web element, whereas the text contents, all text contents, this will return text contents of all the products. Now we can store all the text contents into a variable called product underscore titles. So now if I put this cursor, this is actually written list collection. It is returning the list collection now. So if I have a list collection, we can use a looping statement to get all the titles, right? Or we can directly print also. So let me just try to print and see product titles. Because once you get them into a list format, we can do whatever you want. So I'm just printing them. So in which format it will print? In the list format it will print. And after that, we can also use looping statement. So if you want to use a looping statement, how we can do it? So let me write a looping statement also. This is one way. But if I want to get individual title and print them in the looping format, in the looping statement, by using looping statement, I just want to print the titles in individual format. I say for, can take some variable I in product titles, then print I. So how exactly this loop works? From the product titles, because we already captured all the product titles using all text contents. So this is written all the titles. Now we are reading one by one. The first product title will be stored in I, then print it here. The second round of execution, second product title will be stored in I, then again print it. So this loop will repeat multiple times till it prints all the product titles. So I'm just write a simple message, printing product titles using looping statement. Now let us try and execute. So here we are getting the product titles in the form of list collection. And here we are getting the titles. We are just printing the titles one by one using looping statement. And before using these two, first we need to get the text contents of all the products. So here all text content is a method which will return the text content of multiple elements or multiple products. So that is a usage. Okay. Let's run and see now. Go back to the command prompt and then run it. Perfect. So now we can look and see product to titles in the form of list collection. It is this is the first item, this second item, third item, and fourth item. And also by using looping statement, we have printed all the titles of the four products. Okay, so by using looping statement also, we can get the text contents of all the elements and we can print them. So in this example, two things you need to understand: text content and all text contents. Important entry question. So what is the difference between text content, all text contents? Or in other way, they can ask how to get the text of the element or how to get the text of group of elements. So then you need to remember this: all text contents, text content. So these methods frequently used in many examples. Just remember this. I won't repeat again in future. So text content will return the text of the element, single web element. And all text contents method will return the text of group of elements. Okay. So now contains is over. So next one is start with function. So we have another function called start with. So let us see how we can work with the start with function. XPath with starts plural, starts with. So this is one more function we have. Okay, so now this time I'm going to get the products from this list, which are starting from build. How many products are there? I want to grab the products which are starting with build. How many products are there? So Abhishek, I already told you that statement at the beginning itself, right? It is exactly same as a getText method in Selenium. So when I'm explaining this method, I've started with that statement because people, if you already know Selenium, so they are already aware of it. So this is exactly equal to get text method. Okay. And the all text contents is exactly equal to get options method in Selenium. We have a get options method in Selenium, right? This is exactly equal to get options method, which will get the options from multiple elements. And this is exactly equal to get text method. Okay. Now let us see the start with the function. So how many products are starting with the build? How many are there? One, this is the one, two, and three. Total three products are there. So now I want to grab them. So what is a common thing in this? All the titles are starting with the build keyword, right? All the products are starting with the build. So we can make use of it. So let's see how we can do this. So I'm writing the XPath again. So page.locator. Okay, first we will write in the selector hub, but then we will use it in our automation. Now inspect this element. Go back and go to selector hub. Now, so how to grab the elements? /h2, 7 elements. We say /a, total 6 elements. Now we need to filter them. Total 6 elements, we need to filter them. How to filter? We need to provide proper attributes. So here, again, where exactly this title is present inside the href attribute, right? href attribute. So if I inspect one of this element, you can see in h2, anchor tag, in anchor tag is having href attribute. So here I can use href attribute. But I want to look at multiple elements which are starting with, all the titles are starting with the build. So whenever you want to use something which is starting with something, you need to use start with function. Start with. So how we can use it? Simple. Starts hyphen with. Starts hyphen with in the open bracket and specify @href, comma, and here important thing. Because we are saying start with. When I say start with, you don't need to specify the complete title, just to specify the title which is starting with what. So in singular double quotation. So what is the starting with? Build. Just specify that. Now zero element. So why it is zero element? Because you can see href equal to what is in the title we are able to see build here, right? But actually this text is displaying on the UI. But what is an actual value of href attribute? /build. /build. Even if you look at any other element, for this also href equal to /build. So we need to provide this one because we are using href attribute, right? We should not use a text here. /build. Slash is also part of the value. So when I enter this, 3 elements are matching. Now this XPath is returning how many elements? 3 elements are returning. Now I'm grabbing it. Go back and use this. So start with function, we can use like this. So if we want to get a group of elements which are attributes are having, or which attributes names are starting with something, we can specify that common thing. And this will actually return the products. So I'm just storing in the another variable. I can call it as a building products. Another variable I'm storing. Okay. So now tell me how to count them. How to count. Count of building products. Simple. Building products dot count. Sorry. So building products dot count. This will actually count the number of building products. Now how to put the assertion? Expect whatever building products we capture, put them dot. We need to count. What is the method? To underscore have underscore count. Here we can directly specify this building products dot count, or if you know the value, you can directly hard code this. That is fine. So this is how we can use start with function, right? Now let us run one more time. So in the next example, I will show you how to use start with contains to handle dynamic elements. Yeah. So now you can see count building products are 3, exactly working fine. Fine. So now contains a start with. There is another function called text function. Text. XPath with text function. So this is also most of the times we will use. We will see how to use here. So text function. So normally there is a link here, register. So I want to locate this element, or I want to check this is visible or not. If I inspect this element, register element, this is actually what? A link, hyperlink. And this is actually text, inner text. So by using text, text is representing an actual inner text. Okay. So the text is representing inner text of the element. Inner text of the element. So do you know what is the difference? Do you know what is the difference between text and inner text? Know the difference between text and inner text? Suppose I have some element, let's say um, some input tag. Okay. Here I provide some value is equal to text equal to some xyz. Okay. So this is one element. Now I will create one more element. Let's say you can take something called anchor tag. Okay. Anchor. Or you can take another input tag. Input. Some name equal to some ABC. Close. Welcome. Close. Input tag is got closed here. Okay. Now let's say I have two elements. This is a HTML of the first element. This is HTML of the second element. Now if I look at the first one, do we have inner text in this? Inner text. Inner text. No. So we do not have an inner text. So anchor is nothing but a. Whenever I see anchor tag, whenever you see a link, right? So this link is starting with what? A. A is representing an anchor tag. href is an attribute of the anchor tag. I think these are the basics, guys. You please go through my previous session, first class, locators first session, which is important. You need to know what is attribute, what is anchor tag, what is a tag name. Until unless you know, you cannot understand. I can't do anything. So these are the basics. Okay. So if I look at this first statement, do we have inner text in this? No, we have a text attribute which contains a value, but we do not have an inner text in this. But here we have an inner text. So this is called inner text. So here actually the element is partially closed. But where is the actual closing? Here it is closed. Input tag is closed here. So this is provided. This is called inner text. Okay, here welcome is inner text. Inner text. So the text method is always representing the inner text. Text method is representing the text of the element, inner text of the element. Okay. Now, if I look at this register link, so do we have inner text for this? Yes. What is an inner text? Register is an inner text. Now, let us try to locate that element using text function. Page.locator. So before that, let me write it here. Okay. So inner text we have. So what is the tag name here is? Anchor tag. So //a representing a link. Now I'm using text function. Text equal to text function not taking any parameters, but we can compare it. Text equal to what? Register. So which element it will point now? Register. One element is matching. Okay. So text function representing an inner text. So any element you can locate by using this text. Any element in the sense that element should have some inner text. So such type of elements we can locate by using text function. Now I can use this locator here. So double quotations inside the double quotations not allowed. So we can simply keep single quotation. So this is a link element. What type of link it is? Registration link. So registration underscore link. Now I just want to verify this is visible or not. So how to verify? Expect registration link dot to be visible. This is the assertion. Text function. So text function we can use like this. Similarly, we also have last and position, two more functions. So before that, let me run once again. It is just checking the visibility of the register link. Again, if you want to click on the register, you need to use click method. Perfectly fine. So now another function, XPath, these are all relative XPath guys, okay? Only in the relative XPath we can use all these functions. XPath with last function. We don't have a first function, we have a last function. So let's see how to use this last function. Okay, so again, go back to the page. So here in this web page, and if you go bottom of the page, under the follows section, there are multiple options are there. How many links are there under follows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links are there. Okay, now my requirement is I first want to go to this follows section, this particular section. And from these 5 elements, I want to get the last element. So first I want to get all these 5 elements from the follows. Among them, I want to get the last element. Okay, I want to get the last element. So we can write XPath in many ways, but one of the ways is by using last we can do it. So let me show you this. So where exactly the follow is present? First, let us inspect. This is all one section actually. See, it is properly highlighting like this. Now we can properly highlight this. You will see actually. So this is a div tag which is highlighting. Follows, column follows. This is the follows. So now I'm writing XPath for this. And selector hub is giving one XPath. I'm taking help of this. Now if I enter, one element is matching. So what is this element actually? The entire box, the entire one div tag, this entire box. Now inside this div tag, follows is what? H3 tag. We don't need that. We need items. So all these items are called list items. So all these items are present inside the UL. UL is nothing but a user list. Inside this, every LI is representing one list item. Every LI is representing one list item. So I just want to skip this H3 and UL. Directly, I want to get all LIs. Because it is a relative XPath, we can directly jump into LI, / LI. 5 elements. Exactly 5 elements are matching. Now, among these 5 elements, I want to grab the last one. What is the last one? Google Plus. That is an option I want to get. So in this case, what you need to do, you can provide the index also. So if I just put bracket and whichever number you given, that element is matching. You can see here, say 3, RS is matching. When I say 4, YouTube is matching. When I say 5, Google Plus is matching. So this is also correct. Okay, but sometimes index keeps changing. So in that case, what we can do, we can use something called last function. So you can say bracket, inside the bracket, instead of passing index, we use a last function, last of bracket. This is one way. Either you can pass index or you can use last. So this XPath is actually returning the last element from this list. Now I'm writing this page dot locator, provide this, and this will actually returns what? Google Plus link. Google Plus link. So another way is what? We can simply pass instead of last, you can put the index. Okay, this is an array index. Now I got the Google Plus link. Now, can we verify the text of this element, Google Plus or not? Because we have just provided uh, uh, li of last. So this is also returning the last element. So from the last element, I want to verify the text of this. If I go back and expand this li, so do we have inner text here? Inner text, yes. So if we have an inner text, we can verify this by using toHaveText method. We can use toHaveText method to verify this. Again, to grab this value, what is the method we have to use? To grab this value. Text content you can use, but I want to verify this value. toHaveText method you can use, assertion method. Now I'll put one assertion directly. Expect of this Google Plus link dot to have text. To have text. What is the text we are expecting? Google Plus. So this is the one. This is the text, inner text we are expecting like this. So this is the last function. And we do not have a first function, but we have a position. So based on the position, we can get it. Suppose I'm repeating the same thing. So XPath with position. Position is another thing. So you can look at this page.locator. And instead of first we do not have, only we have a last. And if you want to specify position, you can specify instead of last, we can say position bracket equal to. So which position? You can say 2, 1, whatever. So in whichever element you want to get, you just specify the position. That's it. So in the second position, what is the value which we have here? This is 1, this is a 2. In the second position, we have a Twitter element. So what is this link actually? This is a Twitter link, right? So again, you can put the expectation, expect, and take this Twitter link and just provide it here. Okay, so this is how we can validate. Sorry guys, to have text, Google Plus. So to have text, we need to provide the text, right? Okay, now go back to the Twitter, grab the inner text, and then provide here. So this is how we can use text function, last function, position. These are all relative XPaths. Okay, now let's go back and run. Okay, now all the tests are executing one by one. Yeah, now somehow it is unexpected value Google Plus. Okay, so live last Google Plus. Are we giving correctly? Okay, so let's try once again and see. So the value should be correctly given. So Google Plus, okay. This is our Google Plus link. Okay, so let's run one more time. So why we are not directly copying relative XPath is needed to construct every time. See, I'm just showing you how to create our own XPath. So if you want to generate by using Selector Hub, you can get it. Nothing wrong. But you need to practice you have to know how to create our own locators. That is important. Interview perspective, that is important. Okay. That's the reason I'm telling you how to generate this XPath. But certain XPath we cannot generate through Selector Hub. Selector Hub is giving the XPath for specific web elements. Okay, so we need to customize sometimes, but not always can get directly XPath from the uh, Selector Hub. Okay, all right. So expect to have text with the timeout 5,000 milliseconds. It is waiting. Just a moment. Google Plus link, right? So page.locator div class column follow us li last. Okay, perfectly fine. To have underscore text. Okay, maybe because of time it is getting failed. Okay. Unexpected value it is giving actually. So let's copy this value one more time and check it once. So no, it is actually failing at the Google Plus. It's not the Twitter. So Twitter is okay, but it is failing it here. Uh, this is a locator. Okay, that is fine actually. So this is a locator. Okay, the locator to have text is Google Plus. Page.locator div class column follows text content. Mm. So no need actually. We no need to capture the text content because to have text will automatically get the text and compare with this. There is no problem in this. This problem is different. Okay, so let us put some wait timeout here and see. Page dot wait for timeout, say 5000 milliseconds. So that method is correct. To have text Google plus and the text path whatever we have written is also correct. This X path is exactly matching with that element. And you can also cross check here if you have a doubt. See, Google plus is matching. This is also correct. And if you go to position and position to Twitter is also matching. Okay. So let's run one more time and see. Assertion error again. Oh, expect Google plus link to have text and Twitter link. Sorry guys, I have done mistake actually. Sorry. So actually we need to provide this one right here. So then it will match. Okay, let's go and execute. So when you copy pasting, you'll miss something sometimes. Okay, so now it is get passed. Right, so this is how we can use a different functions with the XPath. So now we will see how we can handle dynamic elements using XPath, especially by using contains method. Contains method we can use. So and start with method also we can use sometimes. So let us see how we can handle dynamic elements using XPath. One small example, another 10 minutes we will finish. So test underscore, I'm creating another test underscore dynamic XPaths. Dynamic XPaths. So here I'm writing one simple test. So I can say def test underscore handle dynamic elements and page picture from the page class. Now let us import them. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a small scenario where the attributes are dynamically changing. Okay, so look at this page. So in this particular page, I have one button, guys, called start button. This is a dynamic button. So dynamic button in the sense what? Suppose if I look at this element, and this is the element, right? So if you want to locate this element, how to write an XPath / button. Inside this, you can put any property. You can say at the rate name is available. Name equal to, let us say, start. Name equal to start. So now one element is matching. This XPath is perfectly fine to locate this element. Okay. Now, suppose I'll perform some task on this. Let's say I'm clicking on this button. Now it is turned into stop. So will this XPath works in this case? After changing this, the properties have been changed here. You can look at this. Previously name was what? Start, but now it becomes a stop. So will this XPath works? No. If I enter 0 element. Now again, if you want to look at this element, what we should do now? We should change this value. Then it will match. Now this is a dynamic. So my requirement is I want to write one XPath which is able to handle in both the cases, whether it is in start state or it is in stop state. In both the cases, my XPath, single XPath should able to handle without doing any changes. So that's how we need to write an XPath. So there are many ways are there. So I will show you how we can write our dynamic XPath, which is matching with multiple elements. The first approach we should not hard code this value, stop or start. So we need to use certain functions. So first let us start with the button. I'm using text function. First I'm using text function. Text equal to, text equal to what? Start. When I say this, will it work or not? Text equal to start, I'm saying. Zero element. So when this will work actually? When I say in start state, it will work. But again, it is turned into stop state, it won't work. So I can provide multiple text functions. So this is a one text function. I can use one operator called or operator, or text of equal to stop. Stop. So we can also specify the or operator. What I'm saying is or operator also we can use. So now what will happen? Either text value is start or text value is a stop. At least one should be true at a time, right? So now this particular XPath will able to match the element in both the cases. Now when I run this, one element is matching. Again, I'm clicking on this, becomes stop. Now again, same XPath will able to match. So this is one type of XPath. We can use it. Okay, so another one. So any other way to do this other than text function? Can we use attribute directly? Yes, we can also use attribute. So let me show you. So name attribute itself I'm using at the rate name equal to what? Start. Name equal to start. So this will match one element. If it is start state, then it will match. Now, once you click on this, this won't work. So now here also I can use or operator, or at the rate name equal to stop. Now this will work in both the cases. Now in the stop state it is working. Again when it turn into start, still it is working. So by using or operator, we can do that. So this is one more option which we have to handle this element. And using contains method also we can handle it. So let me show you. So to use contains method, we need to find one common thing in two names. So what is a common thing in this? Suppose in the start state, the name is stop. After getting into the stop or start, again, it is turned into start or stop, vice versa. Now in the start and stop, what is a common thing we have? First two characters are common. ST is a common. So can we use a start with function? Yes. So we can use start with function. So to use start with or contains, anything we can use. So first let us use contains function. So to use contains function in the button, you can use contains of at the rate name. There's an attribute, and what should it should contains st. It should contain st. Then close this bracket. Now one element is matching. Even if we change the state, still one element is matching. So by using this contains also, we can handle this in certain scenario. Now instead of contains, can we use start with? Start with. Yes. So here I can use contains. Instead of contains, I'm using starts with. Starts with. When I say starts with, we need to specify at the rate name, comma, st. Same thing. This is also working fine. Even if you change this in start state, it is working fine. So this is also correct. So these are the different ways we can write XPath for locating dynamic elements. Contains and start with. Okay. So let us try to use and see. Simple example I'll show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to launch that page dot go to, and here let's go to this page. And now, so I just want to locate this element. I'll try to keep clicking on this button so that the state is keep changing, right? So I will simply write one looping statement actually. So for I in, I'm using range function. 5 times I will repeat this loop, means 5 times I will click on the button, and each time my click should be successful. Okay, so here I'm writing locator, page dot locator, and you can use any of this locator, whatever I mentioned here. All the locators perfectly fine. So if you want, I can put them here at the above I'll put, okay? So you can just get it from here. So you can use one of them. Anything is fine. So I'm using the first one for now. Range colon is missing. Okay, so this is a element. And this is basically a button. So I'm getting this button. Now I want to perform click action on the button. Simply what you can do, button dot click. And I will also wait for some time, page dot wait for timeout. And each time I click, I will wait for 2 seconds. So that we will able to see whether it is clicking or not. So start and stop, vice versa, it is keep continuing. Right. So now let us see this XPath is working in both the states, start and stop. So let's go back to the command prompt and I'm running the test underscore dynamic XPaths. Dynamic XPaths. Headed mode, -s, -v. So we clearly see whether it is able to clicking on the button or not. Now we can just look at this. Stop. Now it is turning to stop. Again turning to start. Again stop. Again start. 5 times I'm just clicking. After stop, then it will automatically exit. So in every case, this XPath is able to handle that element. Okay. And can we simulate the same scenario using CSS? CSS. Yes, we can also use CSS for this type of scenario. Let me show you this another example. Comment this. I copy the same thing. Handle dynamic elements using CSS. By using CSS, how we can handle? Again, in CSS also, we can use multiple approaches are there. So I'll show you all the approaches one by one. In CSS also. So the first thing is, what is this? This actually, the tag name is button, right? So we can use like this, button. And when I say, okay, button, tag and attribute combination. So we already know, right? Tag and attribute, how to specify button is a tag and attribute is what? Name. So I say name equal to start. So when I write a CSS like this, tag and attribute combination, will it match with only one element? But once it is turned into stop, it cannot match. Okay. But then how we can specify OR operator here? OR. To specify the OR operator, you don't need to write any keyword. Simply just say comma. Okay, so this is one element, not comma. So this is one attribute. Now we can just give one space and then specify the other thing. So I can say one comma and then button. Same thing, you can just copy paste. So whatever the attribute and whatever tag name attribute is specified, along with that comma, another attribute and another tag and attribute. Again, tag is optional everywhere. So here you can say stop. That's it. So this is able to match in both the cases. So now it is turning to start. Still it is matching one element. Again turning to stop. Still matching with one element. So this is one option. Using CSS. These are all XPaths. And using CSS, we can handle this. This is CSS. So tag, attribute, tag and attribute. Again, if you remove the tag name is also fine. Okay, this will be able to handle. This is one option which is available. And this is OR. There is another option using star and caret also we can handle. Say button name equal to. So I want to identify one common thing. Instead of specifying all the attributes, I just want to, if I look at this, 0 element, button name equal to start because it is stop state. Now one element. Now I want to specify the star. So we need to start with basically. So in the last class, we have seen start with. What is the symbol for start with in CSS? Anybody remembered? What is the symbol for start with? Caret symbol, right? Caret symbol we can use as start with. So let me use it. So name, here we use caret symbol, caret, and it simply says ST. That's it. First two characters. This is able to match. Now we can see, even if you change into stop, still it is able to work. So this is actually equal to start with in XPath. So in XPath, we use something called start with, right? This is actually equal to start with. I'll write it here. Start with. This is equals to start with in XPath. Okay, so can we use contains in here? Contains. Yes, we also have a contains in CSS, but not a function. Symbol, which is star. Star representing. So this is also able to match the element in both the cases. Star is a representing contains. This is also correct. So this is exactly equals to what? Equals to contains in XPath. Okay, so these are the different ways which we have in CSS. Now let me start using one of them. So I can use anything you can use. Let me try to use this one. Start with. Go back and I try to modify the locator. So when I say page.locator, here you can provide either CSS or you can provide an XPath, anything you can pass. So we don't have a separate functions here. But in Selenium, we have a separate functions. Okay, for CSS separate locator separator function, and for XPath there is a separate function. But here for XPath and CSS for both, we use the same method called locator. Okay, now let us run the same test. Same thing I'm doing 5 times. I'm repeating. Every time it will click on the button and we'll see whether it is working or not. So 5 different ways we have CSS. See, it is still clicking on the button. Start, stop, again start, again stop. So multiple times the same button is clicking and perfectly fine. So we are able to achieve this using XPath and CSS. But can you achieve this using Playwright built-in locators? Playwright built-in locators. This is the dynamic element. We have a role, right? Get by role. But in the get by role, can we specify that? Yes. But we need to take the help of a regular expression there. Okay. So using Playwright locator also we can achieve this, but we need to take the help of regular expression. So let me also show you that part. This is by using CSS. Okay. This is using XPath. So through practice, you will able to familiar with all these things, guys. In the day one itself, you won't able to learn all these things. Only through experience, you will get it. So through CSS. Now, let's copy the same thing. This time I'm trying to use a Playwright specific built-in locator using Playwright locator. Okay. Now, so let's comment the previous one. Same thing. Now how we can write a Playwright locator. So here this time I'm going to use get by role. So how to use get by role? Playwright locator. So get by role we have, right? So page dot get by. Okay, I can directly write it here. Go back here. Because these Playwright locators we cannot check in the selector hub. Selector hub is only meant for CSS and XPath. So here we will try to write directly. So page dot get by role. And what is the role of this element? Basically, it is a button, right? Button. Role is what? Button. So specify that. Role is what? Button, comma, comma. We need to specify the one attribute or the name of the element. So inner text also we can specify. Name equal to, normally, if you want to locate a specific element, you can directly say name equal to start or stop, you can specify. So this is able to locate start button and this is able to locate stop button. But I want to locate both the ways. Stop and start, in both the cases I want to locate with single method. So we need to take the help of regular expression. To use regular expression, we need to import one module called RE, which is comes from Python itself. Now if you want to write a regular expression for this particular name, you need to simply say name equal to, instead of specifying the value directly, you can use one method called re.compile. This is the method we have to use for regular expression. Re.compile. Keep that value in the bracket like this. Now we should not hardcode the entire value. It should support both stop and start. So what I'll say, st dot star. First two characters I'm taking. and rest of the things it can be anything. And this is actually regular expression, so we use one symbol called r. This is also important. This is actually regular expression. Okay, so this will actually return the element, store that in a variable. So after that we can click on that element and we can perform the action. Okay, so in this particular cases, better to go with the CSS or XPath. Okay, that is become very simple. Okay, let's go back to the chart. Let's go back to the window and then run the test one more time. Dynamic XPaths. So now it is started the page. Now it started clicking on the button. Now it is turned into stop, again start, again stop, start, stop, done. Okay, so this is how we can use a different type of locators. We have seen Playwright locators and we have seen XPath. Also, we have seen CSS. So these are the three types of locators supported in Playwright. And as I said, most of the times we prefer to use CSS. Okay, so if we have any graphic kind of thing, we never automate such type of these scenarios. Okay, there are certain criterias. When you're automating something, there are certain criterias. So if the criteria is matching, then only we will pick the test cases for automation. We don't automate each and every test case because graphs are more dynamic. Depends on data, right? If the data keeps changing, graphs also keeps changing. Even videos also we cannot automate. So there are certain things are this we will discuss later. So these are a few important locators, guys. Okay, XPath, CSS, and Playwright. So you need to make familiar with these locators, and then tomorrow we will continue further things. We'll stop here for today's class.